What's going on, everyone? Happy Halloween. I hope you guys are enjoying the last part of the October month, and I hope you guys are having and enjoying your festivities. I've been out sick for a little bit. I haven't done a review since Exorcist the Believer. I've been trying to catch up on a lot of movies, catching up on sleep, trying to take care of my side business and my work schedule. And you know what? I just had a lot of festivities myself. So I finally find time to actually get in front of the camera and talk to you guys for some movies. But although I do have other horror movies that I could be talking about on this Halloween day, I have decided to start off where I left off, and we are going to be talking about The Killers of the Flower Moon. I know, this isn't a spooky mama type of title, but I will have those come up for you. In the meantime, we got this movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone, directed by Martin Scorsese, as we follow the story of oil being discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under the Osage Nation land. Now, the Osage people starts getting murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. Legendary director and co-writer Martin Scorsese is back to bringing movies to the big screen with his epic adaptation to David Grant's historical and nonfiction novel. And come to think of it, I have not seen a Scorsese movie since 2013, which was The Wolf of Wall Street. Like, damn, that's been a while. It was really interesting to hear that he was very passionate about this particular story and wanting to tell it through filmmaking, but it was the way that he was able to enlist the help of Chief Standing Bear and the actual Osage Nation people in order to make that possible. Mr. Marty Scorsese always enjoys working with the same cast, with the same friends, bringing in showstoppers like Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. And funny enough, this marks the seventh collaboration between Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, whereas between Robert De Niro and Scorsese, this marks their 11th collaboration. And if that wasn't enough, I thought this would have been the first time that Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro were teaming up, but this would be their third feature together, and that's because there's the 1993's This Boy's Life, which was the first film that they starred in, and then there's 1996's Marvin's Room, which I have yet to see both of them. I'm so bad. I should have done my homework. Now, I haven't had the chance to fully read the book. I got through like the first two chapters, and I actually wanted the rest to be a mystery by the time I saw the film, because in a way, the narrative is kind of a mystery. I like that it kind of is split up in the perspectives of Molly Burkhart, the FBI, and some of the hard evidence that was just laid out and researched throughout the years. The trailer made it seem like a mystery, and I thought that would have been a much more entertaining way to go, but instead, the narrative of the film, we were actually in the perspective of the killers this time around. And Martin Scorsese did say in the Cannes Film Festival that he wanted this movie to be more of a who didn't do it versus a who done it, which is kind of subverting expectations. Starting off with the first talent here, Leonardo DiCaprio. Growing up, he's been one of my favorite actors of all time, regardless of what anyone says about him. I commend him for every role that he's done, especially if it's for the much less favored projects. And in here, he is no hero by any means, but a simple man. He is a cabbie who just got back from the war, and he blossoms a relationship with Molly, the member of the Osage Nation. And like many of his movies before, I am so used to seeing DiCaprio command the screen like he was going for the Oscar at every opportunity that he gets. And I thought it was a little strange that he was a little quieter and subtle this time around with this particular role. And it just hit me that I thought it was actually genius the way that he decided to portray Ernest Burkhart. There is a lot to be said in his facial expressions where he's struggling to comprehend a lot of the decisions that he makes, including the consequences that follow. He has a few ticks, like a little bit of an underbite that he kind of does. I can't do it. And, he just fidgets with his fingers a lot. It really makes him nervous. And you're really just unsure of the psychology of this particular man. Fun little fact, in the first draft of the script that came out, Leonardo DiCaprio was set to play the FBI agent Tom White, who was sent down from Washington to investigate the murders, and this would have had a little bit more of a detective mystery element to this until Scorsese actually wanted this narrative to be in the perspective of the killers. Then DiCaprio insisted that co-writer Eric Roth draft a brand new script where he was allowed to remain the main character, the leading role, as you will, and he wanted to bring something different to the character of Ernest instead of just being another authority figure. Thus, bringing us Jesse Plemons to take on the role of Tom White instead for the final movie. And then we got Robert De Niro, who is playing William King Hale, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, he may not be a wealthy man, but he is a very powerful one because he's just going around town, shaking hands and kissing babies. And Robert De Niro is just keeping it 100% fresh in his performance. And what makes his role so chilling is that he could be a very, very calm villain. He can be so humble and collective and suddenly spin a conversation where it was circle back on making money. Like there's this whole dinner scene where William is congratulating Ernest and Molly in front of the family, and there are some awkward exchanges and looks that are just going on. And then we move forward to the next shot to where he's in the next room plotting the next death of the family. Last but not least, Lily Gladstone as Molly Burkhart. She is the heart and soul of this movie. Heck, Scorsese didn't even bother having her audition. He first met her and said that she had honest eyes. And honestly, that is one of the biggest gems in her performance, was how a lot could be said through her eyes without actually saying anything. It's honestly how she thinks, it's how she loves, it's how she figures shit out. And even when the story veers focus away from her, she commands the screen. What I also love about Gladstone and DiCaprio's dynamic is how well they work together, especially when it comes to the courtship in Act 1, to the heart wrenching emotions in Act 2, to the gut punch reveal in Act 3, where the truth unfolds before them. Just so good. As important and historical as this picture was, I did wish that this story was told through the perspective of Molly instead. A lot of the nuances of unraveling these horrible crimes that were done against Indian blood and who were involved would have made the courtroom case and the flashbacks in the third act a lot more impactful. It would have made the representation of the Osage a lot more stronger instead of honing in on the typical Martin Scorsese signature westernized version of protagonizing your villains. And you know what? You're going to hear this a lot in many reviews, but it is just no joke. But this movie was way too fucking long. 3.5 hours of just talking, of innocent people just getting dispatched over a whole timeline. It is just enough to make the audience member, the viewer, just feel so fatigued of these very dour and melancholy moments. Apparently, there's a much longer cut of this movie, which I have no idea of how possible that is because the pacing and the editing really stumbles. There's just so much meandering moments that could have been trimmed down or like easily paced a lot better, like a lot more tighter. And as shown in the trailer, a lot of the violent scenes are treated like montages. Even the lack of fake blood is not Scorsese's budget at all. If I had to be honest, I think a chunk of Oppenheimer is a lot more tolerable to sit through in an auditorium for 3+ hours. Overall, this movie was pretty good. That's very generous because it's not terrible, but it's not a masterpiece. I just would have preferred the alternative narrative over the typical westernized product instead. There is no doubt that this movie will receive a number of Oscar nominations, including Best Costume, Best Production Design, Best Editing, which I do not recommend. Definitely Best Leading Actor, Best Leading Actress, Best Supporting Role. Definitely well deserved. But I gotta say that it's gonna be tough to have this on your particular recommended rewatch. I understand Scorsese's heart was in the right place, but this could have been a much better movie. You know what I mean? All right, guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want to. Make sure you pace your bathroom breaks properly. Definitely watch what you eat and drink. Trust me, it was tough not to run out of the auditorium after like 2 hours. But anyways, hope you guys are having a wonderful Halloween weekend. I'm Jaren Banawag. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews. I guarantee you that, and I will see you guys at the movies. Take care.